VisionOS has been out for less than a month, and I want you to learn it before the Vision Pro comes out early next year in 2024. Whether you're brand new and you don't know where to start, or you're a developer looking to explore, you've reached the right place. This is your home for VisionOS Spatial Sundays. In previous weeks, we looked at Reality Composer Pro. This week, we'll look at SwiftUI. Let's create Visit California utilizing assets we created previously like Yosemite and Catalina Island. It's time to dive into the new SwiftUI. So let's learn together and let's get spatial. Let's start at developer.apple.com. We're going to select VisionOS, and you can scroll through, and all you need to learn about VisionOS is here. If you come to the bottom, you can see you can click on Learn About VisionOS. You can also click on it right here. Let's look under the Get Starting with VisionOS section. These are some great videos for you to review, but I want to come here to creating your first VisionOS app. Here we are, creating your first VisionOS app. Build a new VisionOS app using SwiftUI and add platform-specific features. Overview. If you're new to VisionOS, start a new Xcode project to learn about building platform features and familiarize yourself with VisionOS content and techniques. That's what we're going to do in this thing. You can press play to view this area. Make sure to read through this documentation. It's always great as a developer to read through what's going on. Here's what we're going to follow. Create an Xcode project. Here, create a new Xcode project, selecting File, New Project. Or we can click here, make sure it's VisionOS. We're going to make an app. I'm going to press Next. We're going to call this app Visit California. We're going to make it a windowed app, and we will make it mixed. Go ahead and press Next, and let's save it in our learning projects. Here we are with our app started. Now that we've created our view, we can see here, modify each existing window. Build your interface in the standard SwiftUI. Views provide basic content for your interface. And you can see this structure here is exactly the structure that we kind of have here. We have some additional information. We actually have a side view, a navigation sidebar. We also have content over here. We're going to modify these things. To learn more, it says click on SwiftUI Essentials. Here, introducing SwiftUI. SwiftUI is a modern way to declare user interfaces for any Apple platform. Create beautiful, dynamic, faster than ever before. This takes about 4 hours and 25 minutes. You definitely should go through it to familiarize yourself more with SwiftUI. Let's click on Getting Started. This first one, creating and combining views. We're going to go through this tutorial, but we're going to build it for the Vision Pro. This should take about 40 minutes. Here are the project files. Let's download those. And let's save that. These are the project files that we just downloaded and unzipped. If we drop down resources, we're going to need this image, which is of Turtle Rock, and we'll use that inside of our project. Create a new project and explore the canvas. We've already done these steps. Step 1, open Xcode. Step 2, we didn't select iOS, we select VisionOS. We click Next. We didn't call it Landmarks, we called it Visit California. Step 4, we've completed as well. Step 5, we've also completed. In the project, select the content view. The content view is already selected. You can see our preview here, which is of the Vision Pro, not the iOS app. Step 6, in the canvas, click resume to preview. We already are previewing that down here. Step 7, in the body, change hello world to a greeting for yourself. Hello SwiftUI. We can do that. Here, let's change this to SwiftUI. And you can see our preview updates. So very quickly, we've gone through steps 1 through 7 for SwiftUI's tutorial. So next, let's customize the view. Step 1, in the preview, command click the greeting to bring up the structured editing popover and choose Show SwiftUI Inspector. We cannot command click in the VisionOS preview like it says you can in the iOS preview, but you can get to the SwiftUI Inspector. The way to do that is to come here and just right click on text, and then you can see Show SwiftUI Inspector. Step 2, it says change the title to Turtle Rock, the first landmark. So we're going to do Turtle Rock. Press enter. You can see it gets updated down here. Step 3, change the font modifier to title. Here's my font modifier. It says inherited. I'm going to change that to title. And then you can see it also gets updated in our preview. Step 4 says edit by hand to change the padding modifier of the foreground color to green. And it says to do it by hand. If you look at our Turtle Rock, it updated the text and it also updated that format. To update the padding, we can just add a dot padding, and it also says dot foreground color dot green. And you can see that gets updated. Make sure you check out Meet Spatial Computing and watch these videos. It talks about the UI design principles, including color and how to set up your views. For now, I'm going to change this to yellow. You can see there's Turtle Rock. Step 5, open up the inspector by command clicking the text and the code. Click to change the color. If we command click on this, you can see it gives us information, but also if we option click on this, it'll give you more information that you can actually learn. So definitely option clicking on different SwiftUI elements. This talks about a view that displays one or more lines of text that's read and only. It gives you a bunch of other information that you can scroll through. Same thing if I didn't know what a VStack was, I can option click on that and you can see I can read all of the information about a vertical stack to kind of understand that. So definitely use option on your keyboard and select any SwiftUI elements. Definitely a great tool for you to use those docs, especially in Xcode. Step 5, this time open the inspector by command clicking the text declaration and then choose show SwiftUI inspector from this popover. Click the color pop-up menu and choose inherited to change the color back again. So you can see I can click on, right click on that, show SwiftUI inspector. Here's my color and I could change it back to green. I think we're going to leave it at yellow. Step 6, notice that Xcode updates your code automatically to reflect the changes, removing the foreground color modifier. So here, I actually changed it back to yellow. It wants us to remove that using the SwiftUI. So I'll just change it back to inherited and you can see now it automatically removed it. Awesome. Let's update other areas of our app. Instead of saying sidebar, which is shown right here, let's update that to say visit California. Instead of saying content here, let's change this to say explore. One other thing, instead of saying item up here, let's have this say Catalina Island. And let's say we wanted to make some more. Let's do another text and we're going to call this Yosemite. We're going to do one more text, Turtle Mountain. So there, now our app is starting to take a little bit of shape and we can primarily play in this area. Section 3, combine views using stacks. Beyond the title view you created in the previous section, you'll add text views to contain details about the landmark, such as the name of the park and the states it's in. And you can see what we're going to build right here. We're gonna have a vertical stack with the title, the subtitle, a space, and then we're gonna have the state. Step 1, command click the text view initiator to show the structured editing popover and then select embed in VStack. So we're gonna right click here and select embed in VStack. Step 2, open the library and click the plus button at the top right of Xcode window and then drag in a window to the code immediately below the Turtle Rock. Here is where we're at. I'm gonna click on this plus button. You can see currently in Xcode beta, all of these are not showing up inside of views. Even if I do a search for text, nothing's populating right now. If this is happening for you, no worries, we know how to create it in code. But this may be showing up. All of your views should be here. And if it is, you could simply drag from this window and select it there. But since it's not working in the Xcode beta, all we're simply going to do is underneath here, just like we've done before, we'll just type in text and we'll put nothing in there for now. Step 3, replace the text views placeholder with Joshua's Tree National Park. So inside of here, let's type that in, Joshua Tree National Park. Awesome. Step 4, set the location's font to subheadline. So we can do that two ways. We could do dot font and we could do dot subheadline this way. Or if we get rid of that and you prefer the SwiftUI inspector, we can select that, and font, we can come here and do subheadline. Step 5, edit the VStack's initialator to align the views by their leading edges. So here, let's do it using the SwiftUI inspector. I'm going to right click. You can see how this vertical stack is aligned. If I select right, you can see it's aligned to our right. If I select left, this is aligning the leading. This model up here, actually I want to hide that and we're going to move it later on. So I'm going to get rid of that. Step 6, in the canvas, command click Joshua's tree and choose embed in HStack. So now we're going to right click on this and we're going to embed it in an HStack. And let's add in text after that. And this text is going to be the state. So we're going to say California. And I did not spell park with a capital P, so there we go. Now step 7 is done. Add the new text view to location, change the placeholder to the state, and set it to subheadline. So we didn't set it to subheadline. And this one I'll just do .font.subheadline. And there we go. Step 8, to direct the layout to use the full width of the device, separate the park and the state by adding a spacer to the horizontal stack, holding the two text views. So here in between this, it wants us to simply type spacer and add it in. But look at what happens here. We don't want it to be the full view inside of our preview for VisionOS. So that just shows you what it does, but I don't want that. Much rather prefer this spacing here. Step 9, finally, use the padding modifier method to give the landmark's name and details a little more space. So what it wants us to do is that vertical stack we want to add padding to. So in here, we can right click and we can do show in inspector. You can see here's the padding, or I'm going to click here and do padding. And there we go. Moving on down. Section 4, create a custom image view. With the name and location views all set, the next step is to add an image for our landmark. Instead of adding more code in this file, you can create a custom view that applies a mask, border, and drop shadow to the image. This is what it's going to look like. Start by adding an image to the project's asset catalog. That's what this image is for. We're going to click on assets, click on our folder that we downloaded, and we're going to drag this in here. Also notice the app icon is here. If we select that, this is where you can set the icon for your VisionOS app. Here is what we just imported. It's called Turtle Rock, and we're going to use this image and create a custom image view. Step 2, choose File New, and we're going to do File. Now we're going to select User Interface, SwiftUI View, click Next. What do we want to call this? In the tutorial, it calls it Circle Image. I'm going to call it Circle Image Turtle Rock. Step 3, replace the text with the image of the Turtle Rock by using the image initializer. You can see the code is right here. So we can get rid of this and type image. And inside of here, we simply want to type Turtle Rock. And you can see nothing showing up. It is case sensitive. So if we go back to my assets, Turtle Rock is all lowercase. So make sure you pay attention to spacing. So here, I'm going to do Turtle Rock. And then now you can see the picture is showing up inside of our preview. Step 4, add a call to clip shape and do circle to apply circle clipping to the shape. So I'm going to do dot clip the shape, and circles sounds good to me. So now you can see it is clipped and we can move around it. And you can see VisionOS kind of adds a nice kind of edge to give it depth there. Step 5, create another circle with a gray stroke and then add an overlay to give an image a border. We really don't need to do this for our app, but I will show you what it looks like. We're going to delete this later on. This is the area that we're adding in. So I'm just going to move these down so you can see these as well clearer. And they want overlay. And inside of here, we got another circle, dot stroke. And inside of there, we want dot gray and line width 4. And I think we'll do dot white, but you'll see how it looks when we put it into our content view. And we're going to come back here and get rid of this part of it. But we're done with step 6. Switch to the border color to white, which we just did, was step 7. So now we have our image view using SwiftUI. Section 5, use SwiftUI views from other frameworks. Next, you'll create a map that centers on a given coordinate. You can use the map view from MapKit to render the image. Step 1, select File New. We're not doing iOS. We're going to leave it with XROS. We are going to do SwiftUI view. and we're going to click next. So we've done that before. I'm going to click File, New. I'm going to select File. SwiftUI View here is selected. I'm going to select Next. And they told us to call this Map View. I'm going to call it Map View Turtle Rock. Step 2, import the MapKit. So here I'm going to type import MapKit. When you import SwiftUI and certain other frameworks in the same file, you gain access to SwiftUI specific functionality provided by that framework. So for us to add a map, we definitely want to import our MapKit. Step 3, create a private static variable that holds the region's information for the map. You can see that information up here. We're going to go above the body, and up here, we're going to type exactly what we see at state private var region is equal to MK coordinate region. And inside of here, give us some space. We'll do center, CL location 2D with a latitude and a longitude. And this one says 34.011 underscore 286. And this one says negative 116.166 underscore 868. We'll do one more comma and do span. And here, MK coordinate span with latitude delta and longitude delta. And we're doing 0.2. And here we're doing 0.2. So now we have our state variable. Use the state attribute to establish a source of truth for data in your app that allows you to modify from more or one views. SwiftUI manages the underlying storage and automatically updates views depending on that value. So if this value gets updated, it will update the map. That's why we're using the state value. Step 4, replace the default text with a map view that takes binding to the region. So inside of here, we can get rid of this. And we're going to say map. And inside map, let's do coordinate region. And the binding, we're going to put a $sign so we can unwrap that region. We follow the code, but you can see here, we're getting an issue. Coordinate region was depreciated in XROS 1. Use map initializers to take the map content builder instead. So since we can't use this, since it's depreciated for VisionOS, which we're building for, we're gonna have to dive into the docs. Definitely you wanna check out this session, Meet MapKit for SwiftUI from this year's WWDC. You can watch the video, and also here, you can see it has MapKit and MapKit for SwiftUI. I'm gonna select this one, and we can read through the docs to learn more about this. As a developer, you definitely want to read through the docs. I'm gonna click on Map, and let's just use this code here. Use the SwiftUI to view and display a map with markers, annotations, and custom content you provide. So if I follow this format, I can update my map and not use this. Let's just comment this out since it was provided to us. And then down here, we're gonna do map, and then we'll do our brackets like that. We're gonna make a marker with an item inside of it, and we're gonna call it Turtle Mountain, and we'll do coordinates. And now we have a coordinate up here. We can just simply copy this down into there, and I'm gonna move coordinate down so you can see that. And then now look, we have our Turtle Mountain area. So we can also get rid of this, and we have our map view. So you can see sometimes following a tutorial like this for iOS, we have to adapt some things because we're building for the VisionOS. So we've now completed step 4 and step 5. This is what step 5 looks like on the app. This is what it looked like here inside of our Vision preview. Step 6, compose the detail view. You now have all the components you need: the name and space, the circular image, and the map for the location. With the tools you've used so far, combine your custom views to create the final design for the landmark detail view. So it's going to look something like this, but ours will look slightly different because we're building it for the VisionOS. So here in the project navigator, select the content view. We're gonna come back over here to our content view. So now we're back at our content view. Step 2, embed the VStack that holds the 3 text views in another VStack. So we have this VStack and we want to embed it in another stack. So I'm gonna embed this in another VStack. Step 3, add your custom map view to the top of that VStack. And you can see how it looks here. So right after this, just going to type in map, view Turtle Rock. There is our VStack, and you can see our maps showing above the text information there. Here it also wants us to do a height parameter. So we can do dot frame, doesn't want depth, it actually wants height, and it wants it to be 300. Let's do 250, it's a little big for our window. And you can see here in VisionOS, it kind of blends, a nice blend into that background. It looks really nice. Step 4, click the live preview to see the rendered map and the composed view. We already are seeing that there. Step 5, add the circle view to the stack. So if we come here, circle view is going after the VStack. Circle image, that pushes it down. I want my circle view to be next to these texts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to embed this text into a horizontal stack. And I'm going to move this into my horizontal stack like that. So let's give ourselves some space. This circle is way too big. So let's reduce the size of it. Let's come back over here to our circle image, and we clipped it. And so let's add a frame here, and we'll say width 100 is too small. So let's try 150. 150 I like. We'll keep it there. So now if we come back over here, let's see what that looks like. See, 150 is a lot better for me. I like that. So this is how I want mine to look versus the iOS. Here, the difference in the app is they have the image above that. I did it in a horizontal stack. So step 5 is now done. Step 6, to layer the image on top of the map, we give the image an offset of a negative 130 points vertically and padding of negative 130 points from the bottom of the view. These adjustments make room for the text by moving the image upward. So you can see here for the circle image dot offset, and we're saying Y, and we're saying negative 130. Look at where it ends up. And dot padding, we're saying dot bottom negative 130. So that's implying it moved it up. And you can see I can take this off. You can see where it started out at. Now, if I put it back on, it's only moving this. So that moved up my image, but what about this turtle rock? What if I wanted to move that up as well? Well, let's add in an offset, and let's do Y minus 200. Let's see what that looks like. That's way too big. So that you can see you can play with these. Let's do 100, and that's okay. I'm looking at it, maybe I'll put it at 90. Yeah, and I kind of like it that way. So I have the title up here, and again, I have the subtitle there. All right, step 6 is now done. Add a spacer to the bottom of the outer VStack to push the content to the top. So you can see at the very bottom of the vertical stack, we're adding a spacer. So at the bottom of this VStack, we're going to add a spacer to push the content up. And this button down here, we're going to deal with that in a second after we add in our additional description and more information. But for now, let's just get rid of that toggle. So we're looking good so far. Step 8, to allow map content to extend beyond the top edge of the screen, add the ignore safe area modifier to the map. So it wants us to add this information after our little VStack. So inside of this vertical stack, I'm going to add in a divider, and you can see this little line goes across here. And then we're going to add in some more text, and this is going to say about Turtle Rock, and we want that to be font.title 2, and we're going to add in one more text. And versus doing it that way, let's use our SwiftUI inspector. The text, we're going to call it description about Turtle Rock here for now. And we want that. We'll leave it inherited. We don't have to have it as select any of these. And there we go. So starting to look even better. Now, versus having description about Turtle Rock, let's actually go look up Turtle Rock. And let's just grab a sentence, and we'll copy that and paste that inside of here. Now you can notice this is getting cut off. So we need to define a height for this text. We can do it doing .frame here, like we've done before, or we can right click on the text and do it inside the SwiftUI inspector. And let's start out with, let's try 100 and press enter. Now that looks pretty good. Now I do want to move my image up now. So let's play around with this. Let's actually comment this out because we had that padding from the bottom. It wanted to keep it down. I don't actually want to keep it down. I want to keep it level with that. So that's why I got rid of that. So I just commented it out doing command and slash. So far we're looking pretty good. We can go ahead and close this. And now we're done with step 9. So this looks pretty good. Let's add in our button and our model. If I uncomment this, I don't want our model to be up here. I want it to actually be at the bottom of this. So I'm gonna cut this and put it at the bottom of our VStack. So this VStack, so I want to put this at the bottom. And now you can see what's happening. And you can see it throws off everything. It definitely throws off this ring, which I talked about earlier before. So really simple. Let's just come back here. Let's get rid of this. We're just going to comment it out. Come on back over here. It eliminates that issue for us. Now that's showing up down here. We want to move it up a little bit. Let's do offset and we'll do Y. So if we do -100, that's where it is. I do want a button above here, that toggle that we have right here. So let's undo the toggle, see where that ends up. And you can see padding from the top. It's pushing it down. Let's actually comment that out. And let's just add an offset here. Same thing, Y. And so now this looks nice. And I think I want to leave it there. But we have Visit California, we have Explore, we have our title, we have Joshua Tree, About, we have a nice little description, we have a button we can interact with. This model doesn't really make sense. We want to update this to show a diorama of Turtle Rock. Very similar to how we have a diorama of Catalina Island and Yosemite. So we need to drop down our Reality Kit package, come to package, and then open in Reality Composer Pro. Reality Composer Pro opens up here. You can see inside of Content View, the model that we're loading using Model 3D is called Scene. If we look in Reality Composer Pro, we have two scenes, Immersive and Scene. This sphere is this scene. So let's double click to open that. You can see it has a sphere in this. You can watch this video from the previous week, Getting Started with VisionOS, Reality Composer Pro, Building Island Dioramas. You can also watch VisionOS Spatial Sunday from last week, Shader Graph Materials, and VisionOS Simulator Overview. Catalina looks like that. Yosemite looks like that. Turtle Rock, for right now, looks like that. This is your next challenge. Watch the previous video and see if you can create a diorama. I show you how to do that in the previous video. Now with the saved, we can come back over into our Xcode and finish out our project. So instead of loading scene, what we want to load is actual Turtle Rock. We can close Reality Kit now and come back into our Xcode. Now sometimes I notice when we come back into Xcode from Reality Composer Pro, you see cannot preview this file. If we press refresh and we still get that issue, it's a bug that's currently happening. Let's go ahead and play it in the simulator to really test if this is working. We can start our app here. You can see the app simulator starts, and now we no longer have a sphere, we actually have a diorama. Here's your next challenge. When someone clicks on Catalina, Yosemite, and Total Mountain, how do we update this information here? This is the next part of SwiftUI Essentials, handling user input. Watch this tutorial. You can find it, the link in the description. Most developers will be able to fill this out, but if you're a beginner, give it a shot as well. This is an example of how the app should look. So when I click on Turtle Mountain, you can see I still left this for you. When I click on Yosemite, it updates. The map is being updated, the image, all of the text. About Catalina, scenic island, 22 miles, southern tip of this. If I click on Yosemite, same thing. You can see the map is being updated, the picture and the image, and also the diorama. There's one other creativity challenge that I want you to look at. We come down to simulator, interacting with your app in the VisionOS simulator. Look at this image. I'm going to right click on it and do open a new window. Here's a nice UI setup for a recipes app. I just showed you all the skills you need to create something very similar. You can use the SwiftUI inspector and the documentation. My creativity challenge for both beginners and developers is to try to simply create this recipes app for VisionOS. You have all the skills that you need to. Do that as your creativity project, but also create your own app. What would your UI look like? Share whatever you come up with for your creativity project in the comments below so others can see the great things that you're building. Where do we go from here? Go through these great videos. Meet Spatial Computing to learn more about SwiftUI. Meet UIKit for Spatial Computing. I also would focus on design for VisionOS apps. These show you how to do interactions and how to think about design for VisionOS. This video has been long enough. Go ahead and finish all the challenges that I left for you. Happy computing. Have a great Spatial Sunday. AR is going to change the world. Everyone can learn, so let's create a diverse group of immersioneers. Learn more about VisionOS or Lightship by subscribing, liking, and sharing today.